bam, bam.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the latest edition of the Devil's Bit podcast. In the week where Cristiano Ronaldo becomes the all-time leading goal scorer in international football. Ray, what do you think about that, man? How's things?
That's something else, bro. Something else. The fact that he's still going, banging them in. Great headers as well, wasn't it? It's unbelievable. He's a machine, man. We've said it so many times. The chap's a machine. There's a picture where he took off his jersey and all, and it's no difference. He's ripped.
From 2004 to today, yeah, you were up 2004 that was, and then today, in today's like
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was mad, man.
You got a new set of Delft, but nothing else.
But as you said there, Ray, you're talking about the two headers. What did you make of them? Like, I mean, like, I don't want to go too much into the Ireland game because we'll try and cover that at the end of it. But just in terms of like Ronaldo wasn't really in the game that much. Portugal weren't really at it. Ireland seemed to be, catching them on the counter a lot. But like, just in terms of like the headers themselves, like, what did you make of them? Like the quality of it.
When I seen it, I felt like, I wish we could do that. I wish we could put that sort of, delivery in for him. And it was sort of that delivery, Glenn, where they hang it up, isn't it? If the ball's in the air for ages, and he hangs the most. We all seen that amazing hang that he does, and he hangs there, and he'll get on the end of them, 9 times out of 10, and I hope that we can, get that out of him. I hope we can manage where we put crosses in for him, so we can get that out of him.
Is there a player, Ray, on the planet that could score those headers?
You're thinking, maybe Zlatan in his day, because he's the height and the strength to get up there. But and obviously the great headers along, some of the players. But Ronaldo was right up there, man. In terms of, adjusting his game, like Glenn, from that flary winger over the years, man, to becoming that serious number 9 when he went to Real Madrid. He just became a serial goal scorer, and now he was sort of out of the game, wasn't he? He wasn't in the game at all. The ball was getting away from him a little bit. The game was getting past, and then boom, out of nowhere, he wins the game, man.
He doesn't mind not touching the ball. I think it was John Giles there was saying it there. I think it was the week he signed that, or the day before he signed, was John Giles was saying, like, he's the type of player that won't touch the ball for 15 minutes and it won't bother him, but yet he'll still pop up with the goals that will kill games off. And I think the Ireland game says a lot about his mentality, because I don't want to say he'd feel pressure about becoming the all-time leading goal scorer, but then you look at it and you say Portugal get a penalty early on in the game. He steps up to take it. Whether it was or not a penalty, I don't know. I would say no to it. I think the referee took an awful long time on VAR, and Ronaldo was standing there for an awful long time and ended up missing the penalty. But it didn't take away from the fact that he wasn't going to be denied beating that record on the night, even though you could say him and Portugal were poor.
Yeah. Just that resilience, man, to get past that moment. Ireland, your man O'Shea, he did his bit, kicking the ball away and getting in front of the ball, and it just goes to show you that can actually affect players, the crowd, the tense moment, can make you second guess yourself. And they always say that, just make up your mind and pick your spot, and in that sort of time you can probably, you have that urge to try and change your mind because you have so much time on your hands, them extra few seconds. So, but look, he always kind of picks that corner. He always kind of goes for that height. It just this time it wasn't sort of side netting quality, and the keeper pulled off a great save to kind of, make up for that mistake. He ended up having a good game, that keeper.
Yeah. There's a mistake in him, though, Ray, I think, of it.
It's just young, isn't he?
Look, there's not an awful lot of goalkeepers out there that can say the save penalties from Ronaldo, like, you know what I mean? Especially given the form that Ronaldo's been over the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years even. But if we look at, more closer to home with United themselves, and the fact that Ronaldo looks set to make his debut against Newcastle, I'm going to be over there for that, can't fucking wait. But, the news this week was that, Ronaldo's been made the number 7. Now, do you think, like, that he needed to be number 7? Do you think, to make the comeback, more special. And do you think that Dan James was moved out because of that? Because he went to Leeds for like 25 million, and then there's add-ons on that as well. Do you think James was sold to Leeds so they could change the jerseys up and Cavani could take James's number, and which is 21, and Ronaldo take back his own number 7 jersey?
I think to answer your first question, I think it was the only way to do it, man. You cannot have Ronaldo come back and give him a number that's not in the first 11. You know what I mean? It would have been just a joke. Like it would have started off the transfer with the wrong foot. I think honestly, it would have just pointed fingers at Ollie. I understand if the jerseys were signed for and put in place already, and you couldn't change them. But they figured a way out to get that number 7 to Ronaldo, and it was the right thing to do. I could not see Ronaldo playing in United jersey in the number 21 or anything like it. The only number you'd probably consider is probably 17. It would be okay, because Nani wore it, and when Ronaldo was there, Nani was sort of 17 because he couldn't get number 7. It just, but 21 was just a little bit mad. And fair play to Cavani for handing that jersey. It's a show of character, man. It's a bit of respect there, because he could have pulled off the old what's his name, Phil Jones, where didn't give the number to Varane. If there's any truth in that, I'm not sure, but that would have been bad out. So happy days, because we all know how much that means. So that jersey, and hopefully he can continue that. Make them records in that jersey, break them records, and get United.
Well, there you have it, Ronaldo, Ray, just on that, changing numbers, going to number 7, Cavani taking number 21. Ronaldo came out and said it. I wasn't sure if it would be possible to have the number 7 shirt again. So I'd like to say a huge thank you to Eddie for this incredible gesture. I think it's a touch of class, really, from Cavani, just because I think he knows what Ronaldo's going to bring, and the fact that, every United fan, was sort of coming in their trousers, aren't he, really, at the prospect of Ronaldo coming back. And, Ronaldo's rightful place is as number 7, because, there's a great quote going around where, you need to replace Ronaldo with Ronaldo, really, because everyone that's come in the number 7 place hasn't done the shirt any justice. I mean, you look at, say, Antonio Valencia, great servant to the club. He was 25. He took the number 7 shirt after Michael Owen, and then paid him back.
We thought Owen was the East.
Listen, he definitely had his moments, right? But whether he's worthy the United number 7 shirt is a different story. But Valencia took it and felt that his form dipped because of the weight of the shirt, and went back to number 25. Then you had Memphis. You obviously had Sanchez, and then you had Di Maria, who came in and took the number 7 shirt. And he had a couple of interesting things to say during the week he did about United and about the number 7 shirt. He actually went on to say that he didn't give a fuck about the Manchester United number 7. At first, they talked to me a lot about it. It was just a shirt. Now, this fellow, Ray, I don't know. For me, I just think that he can't keep United out of his mouth, really. I think he always wants to get that little joy being whenever he can. I think if he actually kept quiet about United, I think people forget that he actually represented the club. Do you know what I mean? Like, what do you think of statements like that?
I don't know, Glenn. I in a way, I like Di Maria. He's been there. I still have a little bit of respect for him, but after that, I don't like what the language he used there. He could have worded that in a different way, and it would have came off okay, because you don't expect him to get, what it means for, being number 7 for Manchester United, for being that short of a time at the club. But what he said after it was a little bit interesting. The way Van Gaal treated him. I think he said something about the way Van Gaal treated him in terms of, when he did play well, he'd still be getting showed some video footage of what he did wrong and stuff. Now, I don't know if that's reverse psychology from a decent coach, in my opinion, from a world-renowned coach, but I thought that was a little bit mad as well. You can sort of see where his frustration comes, but he didn't make it, man. He didn't do it for us. He never felt comfortable. It was sort of the club's fault as well that we couldn't put that environment around him and keep players like that at the club, because if you look at the way he's going, he must be early into his 30s, but he's still going and he's still fresh, and that's what you want. He's still playing in one of the biggest teams, and it would have been good for him to be still at the club, in my opinion, because he's quality at the end of the day. But listen, whatever he says, forget about it.
I think it's a classic case, though, Ray, of where we as a club were at that time where we sort of rushed to bring in a player like Damon Ray? You know, or did we ever do a background check to see would he actually suit the club? I liked him when he first started out, Ray. I thought, you know, his numbers were decent that day when he first started. But I just think as soon as things got tough, he gave up. You know what I mean? I don't think he ever had that hunger to try and, you know, force his way back into the team. Or even I remember he played against Hull last game of the season. It was a 0-0 draw. Hull went down that day, and I remember looking at him and saying to myself, he will be gone, you know, in the summer. And I didn't want it to happen at the time. I thought the club probably should have held out. But, you know, as soon as the club accepted the bid, you knew where his head was. It wasn't for him. Whether it was the fact that his house got broken into and his wife was unsettled or whatever. But I just think the way he badmouths the club is just, it's not on at the moment. You know what I mean? Definitely
Yeah.
not. And as I said, if he just kept his mouth shut, I'm sure people forget that he actually played for us. He'd definitely forged out a decent career for himself after us. But again, he's playing in a league where it's only ever them going to be winning. I know they didn't win it last year, but whatever, you know what I mean? They're going to win it now the next 3 or 4 years anyway. But
Yeah.
look, the way we're talking about numbers changing, Ronaldo's the new number 7. His debut was expected to be made against Newcastle and all, so I'm sure everyone, you know, banged up excited about that. But this week, we seen Dan James leave for 25 million, Ray, plus add-ons. Do you think that was a good move, Ray, to let Dan James go, like, or do you think we maybe should have loaned him out and see what way he worked out first?
I just think it was a case, Glenn, of you know, actually managing to get to let some players go. You know, Dan James was the one that they you know, the opportunity was there, and Leeds actually wanted Dan James. I don't think, you know, many other teams wanted our players. And maybe Lingard was sought after by a couple of clubs, but the club obviously made a decision on keeping Lingard. But Dan James going, I think it's a good move for him. You know, I think he'll get some game time, a lot of game time, more than he would at us with the signings that we made this season. Like, if you think about the games he had, you know, 50 games in 2 years isn't so bad at the club. And I know we got a lot of stick, but he wasn't a bad player when you needed to switch up plan B. You know, but Ollie often start with him. That's what used to annoy a lot of us, was Ollie starting with him all the time.
But this, Ray, it's mad that you say that, because for me, like, you know, we played against Wolves. He starts against Leeds, the first game of the season. The day after he plays against Wolves, he's out the door. So what's the thinking behind that? Like, I mean, if surely to Jesus like that, if a player is on the brink of leaving, you don't want to maybe risk him injuring himself and jeopardize the transfer. Yeah. And surely you want to play players that are going to be at the club after the deadline closes. Like, do you know what I mean?
It's a tough one to get your head around that, isn't it?
Do you think do you think the bid just came in late from Leeds, maybe, and United just dived all over it?
I think so, yeah. And you're left on the last few days of the transfer, and I think what's coming in here, what can we get rid of as the club? You know, John Morton and the lads and co. So you're thinking, what can we get rid of? Right, there's a chance there to get some money in after the Dan James deal. He's not going to play that much. You know, is he ever going to be as good as Sancho? No. Is he ever going to be maybe even as good as Lingard on his good day? Probably not. You know, so yeah, it was a good deal, man, in the end. And it cleared up the jersey. Which, just to go back to the Ronaldo and the Cavani thing, like, think about if Cavani didn't give up that number 7, the first sign of things going wrong at the club, the media would have been all over that. Two alpha males in the club trying to get the position up front, Glenn. You know, they would have dived all over at the minute, you know, Ronaldo gets, you know, misses a few or whatever, possibly gets a red card, you know, or something. You know, they would have dived on that all. So the start that off was so important. Yeah.
But Ray, look, we're getting 25 million for him, so I think that's a good deal. Like, you know what I mean? You want to see the money coming in. But do you think we probably should have loaned him out first, considering his age, considering that he is good to come on if you want to try and stretch teams, or you're playing against teams that play that high line or whatever, you know what I mean, or they're offer you as much space as, say, a Leeds United deal. So do you think we probably jumped the gun a bit, or was it the right decision, man? Did we just say, listen, let's cut the dead wood, if you want to say, like?
Yeah, I'd say it was a lot to do maybe with Dan James wanting to play as well, Glenn. Because if you're looking, if you're Dan James and you're looking at the firepower up front, you're thinking, where am I actually going to get in here? I'm behind. I'll even be behind Martial at some stage in the season. Thinking subs coming off the bench, it's definitely going to be Martial sometimes ahead of Dan James. And it's definitely going to be Sancho ahead of Dan James, all depending on who becomes all his favourites, going forward. So he wouldn't have got much game time. And, he probably looks as himself now as a sort of a slightly experienced player now after getting some valuable time up in the Champions League as well, Europa League, and he just wants to play now. And hopefully he's probably thinking I could be picked up by someone else in the top 6 in a couple of years if I play my cards right, and I could get some game time.
Yeah, look, Leeds wanted him, Ray, in 2019, I think it was. They wanted him. The deal was nearly done. He was actually pictured in a Leeds United jersey, and then the deal fell through on Swansea's end, I think. So he did want to join Leeds. Then we come in for him. Obviously he's going to come to us. I think he was recommended by Ryan Giggs, so, obviously we bring him in. So going to Leeds isn't a big shock. For me, it's just, I have an issue with the fact that he started 2 of the 3 games, Ray. I got brought off in both of them, and then he leaves to go to Leeds. Right, grand, we get the fee in. But what's annoying me is, if you look at another player in Donny van der Beek, who I said last week when I was here with Rory, I said if I was Van der Beek, I'd ask to leave. Whether that was on a permanent deal or a loan deal, I'd want to go to play a bit of football. And, there was loads of rumours going around there saying that his agent was working to get him out of the club. Everton looked the most likely destination for him to go, which I think would have been a good move because it's Everton at the end of the day. Benitez is in there. Looks like they're going to be fighting at least in the top 8, if not the top 6, really, with the way they started. You know what I mean? And you have Van der Beek's agent there come out and say, look, had a couple of clubs lined up and Ollie blocked the deal. United blocked the deal. And you could tell in a statement that he wasn't happy. He was respectful in a way, you know what I mean? He didn't badmouth the club too much. But what do you think there? What is going on? I know we've talked about Van der Beek, we talked him to the moon and back, really. But here was a chance for him to go out and get a bit of game time, and it was blocked by Ollie. What's going on?
I always felt, man, like Donny van der Beek was a replacement for Pogba. I always felt that. I still think that's the case. I think he was picked up as an opportunity with Pogba leaving in mind, and because of Real Madrid, whatever, they never had the funds to pay up. He's forced to stay there and on the bench until we know what the situation is with Paul Pogba. But at the same time, his agent came out, I think it was after transfer deadline day, and was saying that he understands that Ollie has a job to do. And at the end of the day, if you're not doing it, you don't get picked, and that's football. So he was sort of, on Ollie's side, really, after he came out. Maybe he was forced to say it by the club. You never know, twist things around. But I honestly think that we're trying to get him ready. We're trying to get him up to standard. He played a lot in pre-season, and it was close between, I think Ollie said it was close between him and Matic to start in one of the games when he was asked, I think in one of the press conferences, it was close between him and Matic, and he went with Matic. He's obviously nearly there. He's obviously nearly there. If they're talking about him getting picked for the start, he's obviously nearly there. I think they're just doing a massive revamp on him in terms of his body physique or something. If you're spending that much time, man, it's like you're prepping up it's like a fight camp for him. He's going through 6 months of pure whatever they have him on, whatever program they have him on. But it baffles me at times, mate. It does baffle me at times that we can't, it baffles me that Ollie doesn't trust one of the defensive midfielders to play with Donny in there. It's mind blowing that he thinks that less of them, that he thinks that on a defensive side of things they're not good enough to play with Donny van der Beek because his mindset is probably not so defensive at the moment, and he's still getting overwhelmed a little bit. I watched some things online about the in-house game, and a fan was speaking about watching him, keeping an eye on him, and he said the same. He said that he looked a little bit overwhelmed and flustered at times. Like he was running around like a headless chicken against Stoke.
But
Now,
right, I put that down to. But I put that down to the fact that it's hard to get yourself going for a behind the closed doors game against Stoke on international week, because you're a player. What's he, 24? He's an established international at this stage himself. He's come to us, and now he's not being picked for the international team, which is right because he's not playing. You know what I mean? So someone else should be in there taking his place. So I know they have to be professional and all, but that has to be on your mind as well. Like I'm here in front of an empty stadium playing Stoke in a game that means nothing, while my teammates and my mates and all that are away with the Netherlands playing in World Cup qualifiers. Does that come into it? What you reckon, or what?
Yeah, I'd say so, man. I'd say so, but it's a test of his character and his mindset. That's what I'm thinking. I always had that issue with him. I thought, like if you're watching him at times, and he has so much time on the ball at times, it looks like, and he passes the ball where it came from. Lack of confidence, that is. And bottled the turn out, and as a midfielder, try and take the game by the scruff of the neck. Something that Pogba does, where he's always comfortable turning out, and even playing side to side. Sometimes he just looks so comfortable. But I could never see Van der Beek at this stage do that. Be comfortable. He'll just pass the ball back from the way it came, and try and get it again. His movement is there. His movement is very good. Obviously, expect that from where he comes from, the style of football. We've always talked about it. Everyone talks about it. They're smart players. They're intelligent footballers. They can play in any position. So he should be able to be playing alongside someone. I always thought of Donny van der Beek as a player that'll start the move and he'll get on the end of it in the box, because that's what we always see when you play when you watch Ajax, because they trust him and they know where he is. They actually trust him in getting the ball to him and getting it back off him. But you don't see that. I remember the time where Maguire was like overlooking him so many times in the middle, when your job would be as a centre back, if you have someone that you respect in the middle game, yourself, you just give him the ball and back off. Let him do that.
But right, you said there that you always thought that Van der Beek was there to replace Pogba, right? We've Pogba going into his last year of his contract. I'm not going to get into a whole Pogba thing, but if Pogba going into the last year of his contract, we don't know whether he's going to stay or anything. Madrid reportedly this week said that they're interested in him. They want to bring Mbappe. Looks like he's going to go there on a free as well. You know what I mean? So it'll be a good window for them if they got Pogba and Mbappe in the same window. But how do we know Van der Beek will be ready to step into Pogba's shoes if we don't play him and we've blocked the move to go on loan in the Premier League to a club like Everton, where he should be breaking into that midfield regardless, in my opinion? Like, how will we know he's ready then? Like, how do we know we need to get replacement in for Pogba if he did leave?
I think you have to hope, and you have to put the games behind us, the first 3 games. Put them behind us, and you have to hope now going forward that, he's going to start coming into the team and we're going to start seeing 10, 15, 20 minutes, halves, starting games, working towards that January period where, you never know what Pogba's going to do, because you can talk to people, and Real Madrid are all of a sudden, going in for players like you were saying, massive funds, Mbappe, and they got Camavinga, and they're trying to rebuild again. And the Real Madrid at the end of the day, Glenn, they come in for you, you go. If you're not English or British, you know what I mean, you won't be second guessing yourself leaving United if they come in, or any sort of team, I think, for any player. We've seen it over the years. So they'll be looking to pull players from United, from Liverpool this year, Salah, players like that. So that's always going to be there. And I think he's going to be tempted again when they come in for him. And I think we're going to try and get Donny van der Beek ready to try and replace Pogba in some sort of way where, it doesn't mean probably the Glazers are, rubbing their hands here. Oh, Donny van der Beek is just going to replace Pogba, and we won't have to spend anything or replace him financially.
But look at this, right? From where I'm coming from, sort of, with the Van der Beek situation is, right? And I'm going to bring De Gea into this for a second, right? If David De Gea, who made a world-class save there last week against Wolves, arguably got us the points, kept the away record going. Ollie was asked after the game, how good was the save? He praised it and all. And he says, look, David's a good bloke, blah, blah, blah. He says he rang me and he came back early to train. So he wanted to improve, and I like that. Donny van der Beek did the same. He didn't travel with the Netherlands squad because he was injured. Okay, fair enough. But then you heard all this stuff, just before the season started, of how he came back early. As you said, he's working on his physique, all that kind of stuff. So I'm saying to yourself, what is the difference there? I know one's your goalkeeper, Henderson's out, who looked like he was going to take that number one spot. He was out, and he's actually back now, but he was out at the time last week. So what's the difference there with De Gea and Van der Beek, really, like in terms of their attitude? Because I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, I'm looking at it and saying, like, Ollie's man management, he's been looked at and says Ollie's a man manager. Tactically, probably doesn't have what the likes of Guardiola, Mourinho, Klopp maybe have, but it's his man management skills that bring him to the table, really. You know what I mean? And you look at what he's doing for Shaw and what he's doing for Greenwood. But when you look at Van der Beek and the way he's treated him, it doesn't bode well, really. Because I'm saying to myself, if he's doing something that he doesn't like in training, obviously he's told Van der Beek, I don't like that, you need to do this. And at this stage, Ray, what he did, just over a year now, Van der Beek is there, 4 Premier League starts, hasn't started this season. If a player is not doing something you don't want him to do, or you want him to do and he's not doing it, surely to God you'd be saying at this stage, let him go. Maybe a loan deal is good for him, but keeping him when you're starting maybe Fred ahead of him and all, that's not doing a player's confidence like that much good, is it? Like, I mean, it's bringing him down, really, in my opinion. It is.
It's a tough one, yeah. Yeah, no, I get that, Glenn. I get that. It's a tough one when you compare it like that. I would just say that a goalkeeper and a midfielder, midfielders so important in there. You get caught out, your whole team's on the back foot. Maybe that's one of the cases. He doesn't trust him on the ball, and I think it could be right, and in the positions where you could fit Van der Beek in, top left, coming off the top left, what Pogba was sort of doing at the start, he's not going to get in there at the moment, Is he going to get in the attacking midfielder's job, Bruno's position? No, he's not going to get in there at all. But can he come off the bench with the upcoming games and show that he can, mature with the team and move forward with the team together? Because the team is sort of just moving forward, and he's kind of just getting left, as you were saying, on the bench, watching games. So, I think it's a different sort of situation, and I hope it's not one of them cases where Ollie's just trying to be too smart. This thing we were talking about where managers get a little big-headed, some things go well for them. They have a good squad. They have massive players coming in and they're under his management. I hope he doesn't think like, I know what I'm doing with Van der Beek and then completely ruin the player.
Yeah. I feel that he's gone down that road, Ray. I do. I just, for the life of me, I just can't understand why was kind of bringing a little bit of pressure on me. We've had pressure from other players' agents, when they're coming out speaking publicly. I just feel like that this is a situation that's not going to go away now. You know what I mean? The papers now and all the media now that Van der Beek was looking to get out, play a bit of football. He hasn't been allowed to leave. So the longer now he's left, not starting games or not playing games, it's another situation that sort of hovers over the team, really. You know what I mean? And can have an impact, like whether you're doing well or whether you're not. And look at it this way: if you start dropping points when you shouldn't be, and all, something like this can come back and really bite you. Whether that's the reason for it or not, it just gives you people another excuse to have a pop at you. Do you know what I mean? Like, so for me, I think Ollie's handling the situation all wrong at the moment, but we wait and see. I think he does deserve a chance, and my opinion, it won't change, is that you're not going to see the best of Van der Beek in 10 or 20 minutes. You're not even going to see the best of him in one game, right? He needs that kind of, as everyone is saying this, he needs a consistent run of games. And just before we move off this topic, because I know I've talked to Roddy about it all day last week, because we were talking about this, but it's just that the claim came back up. But like, what do you have to do to get into the team ahead of Fred? You look at Fred last week, Ray. Yourself, he was bad.
Yeah,
bad. Start to finish, and played the whole 90 minutes. So if you're Van der Beek or even Lingard at this stage, I know Lingard doesn't play in that position, but what would you be thinking? Like, how am I going to break into this team when someone like that's not playing at their best? I'm not going to criticize, like, ridicule Fred, but he wasn't at his best. So what do you do when you're not playing well? You make changes. That didn't happen.
Yeah, I'd say what he likes about Fred is the he doesn't take many touches. Where Van der Beek might need a couple more to get that ball out of his feet. Fred is the usual fella. He'll just turn out and he'll pick a pass, and it's just that conventional. He keeps the engine going. On a good day, he can be a decent player because all you want out of them two is just a supply. It's not really, our midfield doesn't make the game. It's not that sort of midfield that you'd see from the top clubs. Like, all the top clubs have great midfields that just keep them ticking over and make the game. For us, it's just being sort of keeping the shape, getting the ball out to our right wing, left wing, and that's it, and just falling into place. And I think Fred out of the Fred and McTominay do that job the best. Now, are they better players? Is Van der Beek a better player than Fred? Absolutely. But would he do that job as good as Fred? Probably not, man. Probably not yet. That's why he's probably not getting in there, Glenn. That's my opinion of it. I look at Fred, right, he can have a stinking game. He had a stinking game last time. It was getting away from him. But on a good day, Fred, the accuracy of his passing and the speed of his passing, I didn't see that from Van der Beek at all, man. I don't see that. I don't see Van der Beek being that player. They're not the same player. I see Matic, in his prime, he did that job perfectly. Just turns out he might take an extra touch and he'll play the ball with some sort of accuracy and pace. But Van der Beek, it's more of this player that's kind of always moving with the ball. Little tiny passes around corners, and before you know it, you're looking over your shoulder and he's gone. Where is he gone? He's in the box and he's on the end of something. He's not this sort of midfielder that McTominay and Fred are shaping to be, which is, that type of midfielder that can tackle, just gets on the ball. When they're on the ball, they don't want much to do with it. They don't do flicks or anything. Sometimes you've seen from Van der Beek, he'll do one or two good passes, and then he'll try a little flick and he'll get away from him. He'll try a little back heel or something and he'll be gone and he's chasing the ball. I think that you don't want it. As a manager, you wouldn't want to see that. That just looks ragged, man.
When Bruno does that, though, Ray? Like, I'm not taking a hint at Bruno, but just Bruno does keep the ball away a lot because he's always trying, you know what I mean, to move the team forward. Like,
I was so frustrated last game, man. I was so frustrated last game, but then he ended up changing the game for us. That's what he does, and he's higher up the pitch. If it was Van der Beek in that position, just behind the forward, and he's doing flicks around there, happy days. But when you're in that deep position, has he got rid of that sort of style of play yet, Glenn? Where you're pinging balls around the corners, little tiny, and it looks great and all, and you're getting your confidence up immediately, and then you do a little backflip and back heel, and your team's on the back foot. Maybe that's what they're seeing in training. They can't get rid of him. Well, it is interesting, man. That's going to be fascinating now. You have some attacking power going forward. It sort of picks itself. Ronaldo through the middle. You hope Rashford on the left. Whoever it may be on the right, not Cavani, but Sancho, and Dan James gone now, but it won't be Dan James. But whoever might be in there. Greenwood, of course, you can't forget about Greenwood. He's then Cavani as an option off the bench, or even might start some games up there with Ronaldo. That means you have to alter your midfield if you go two up top. So it becomes interesting what he does. Who's he going to pick in there now to get Ronaldo and Cavani as much as you can into the team?
Yeah, listen, just we'll park that one off, right? Because as you said, it's definitely going to be an interesting one. I think the pressure is definitely on Ollie now with Van der Beek's agent coming out and basically saying that the move was blocked. So hopefully we get to have a look at Van der Beek and let him have a consistent run of games. But here's another player for you, Ray. Jesse Lingard. Today he was playing for England against Andorra, so just underline Andorra, yeah. But he scored 2 and he made 1. What's the story with him? Like, is he going to fit back into the team or what? Like, where's he from into all this?
Well, all he was saying that he was fit and he was going to start in the first few games of the season. He just whatever happened to him, COVID. He got, was it?
I did get COVID. Yeah, he did come down with COVID. Yeah, he did come down with COVID.
Yeah, so he didn't get a place in the team, but he's looked sharp, man. He's looked sharp. You know, if you can get the old Lingard back, you know, mentally on it. You know, his mental issues were documented all throughout the season and all. He had some issues, you know. So that can obviously impact players, man. They're only people at the end of the day, you know, and mental health is no joke. So you have to take that into consideration. And once he gets past that, and he looks like he's gotten past that, it's a long process, obviously. But once he gets past that, man, and starts playing with that freedom that he has, his fitness will get him through games. You know, his fitness will get him goals late on because he's sharp. You know, he harassing you all game, and even if you're tired as the opposition, Lingard's coming at you. You know, coming on to 10, 15 minutes to go. He's gonna have an impact when he's on top of his game. So I think there's going to be a battle who comes off the bench there between him and Martial at the end of the day. That's my opinion. Who's going to come off the bench when you want to just exchange legs? You know what I mean?
But what does it say, Ray, when you've a player like Lingard who started more times for England in the last, say, 6 England games and 6 United games? Lingard started in more England games than he has for United, albeit he was on loan with West Ham and all that. Like, this is what I can't understand. Like, I mean, how can you be starting your country and not be starting for your club? If you send a player out on loan for 6 months at 28, for me, I turn around and saying, not for me. You know what I mean? I was saying to Rory last week, maybe we should have just put these players on the transfer list to let them know and everyone else know, look, these players are for sale. And that just puts it to you either want to play football or you want to stay being paid. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand it. I don't think Lingard's going to bring anything to us. There was a bloke there on the Manchester United the Facebook page. What's his name? Dave J. Joyce or something. He came out with an absolute belter there, Ray. Did better than Bruno, and I'll stand by that statement. 6 days a week and even twice today on a Sunday. What you reckon of that, Luke? Jesse better than Bruno?
I think he's winding us up with that one, honestly. I think he has to be missed.
Then he came back out.
Honestly, you don't hear that one a lot.
He then came out and he was a couple of people. Now it's all friendly stuff, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Saying, listen, you know what I mean? He's not, whatever. He comes out and he says, it was Ireland Bruno was against when he was subbed after 60 minutes, and some say Coleman's pockets are still full. Good stuff.
No one played well. You cannot compare him to Bruno in this current form. And look, to say a player is better than another player when they're nearly on the same level in terms of fitness and possibly, you know, even ability wise, you know, but it's all about who's doing it. You know, Bruno's doing it, man. Bruno's doing it. Them players are not far away from each other, but on form, Bruno's been doing it for us since day one, man. And he can frustrate you. He does overtry things, but then he has the ability to, you know, put free kicks in the top corner, score from outside the box, dink keepers inside the box. You know, sometimes he does force it, and he can get frustration. He frustrated. You know, he can try and switch wings too many times when the easy pass is on. But you've learned along the way when you're watching Bruno to kind of just look at it in the way that he's just trying he get his moment. He will change the game. That's what he brings you now. Lingard, you know, under the Jose era, I thought he was brilliant when he had that big top striker. You know, Lukaku's touch was woeful back then, and he was handy in picking them balls up and, you know, scoring a lot of goals for us. The energy, you know, he brings that energy. It'd be hard to pick up in pockets. It's different type of players, I think, man. You know, Lingard, yeah, Bruno's
different teams as well, though, Ray. There's different teams. Like, I've a theory, like, just because, you look back on the Euros, Portugal didn't do very well.
I can't believe I'm entertaining this one.
No.
I can guess myself here with that comment. I'm like,
No. I was looking back at Bruno at the Euros, right? He didn't have a good Euros, but neither did Portugal. And I looked at him against Ireland. He didn't have a good game either, but again, neither did Portugal. So this is me probably just being a bit of a conspiracy theorist, but do you reckon that has anything to do with Ronaldo? Do you know what I mean? Like, in terms of Bruno, we're not seeing the best of Bruno in a Portugal shirt, but then when he plays for us, he is at the being our best player over the last year? Yeah, 18 months, whatever it is. He definitely has. So do you think that could worry an issue that Ronaldo's come back, even though Bruno supposedly had a hand in it? Do you think Ronaldo coming back in might take something away from Bruno?
Yeah, I think so. I wouldn't like Ronaldo to drop into the pockets where Bruno was, just outside the box. I've often looked at Ronaldo in the last, year, I'd say, to the end of his Juventus era. And, every time he drops into that old Ronaldo position, it's not the same. Let's not beat around the bush. It's slow. He's getting red easily. And it almost slows the game down. Honestly, it's kind of negative because players are in position and they're waiting for the ball to come to them, but he's sort of delaying it by a little second because he's second guessing himself. Can I do this, player? Actually, no, I haven't got it anymore. Let me pass her off there.
Yeah, he's definitely more dangerous between the posts.
Yeah, if he can stay between the post, Glenn, and we can stretch it with our wingers and leave that space in there for Bruno. Yeah, but I get what you're saying, man. We have to. It builds up
theory, bro. It's just a theory. I'm not saying it's anything.
It happens. It is going to disrupt the balance of the team, definitely. But are we going to find a way for Ronaldo to get his 25 goals and Bruno to continue to be effective?
Interestingly enough, now Ronaldo and the Portugal team yesterday, they played a friendly against Qatar. They won 3-1. Bruno stepped up and scored a penalty in the 88th minute, so maybe that theory could be kind of true.
Definitely. That's an interesting one as well, man. The first few games are going to be this whole season. It's going to be unbelievable to see what way we're going to shape up and what's all he going to do, man. Is he gonna bench Ronaldo ever? Is he gonna have the bottle to say to Ronaldo, "No, you're not starting today. Cavani's starting"? Imagine that. Then
I don't think we're ever going to see a situation where Bruno doesn't start over Ronaldo. I think Ronaldo's being brought in. I think he's going to be the recognised, even though he's number 7, number 9. You know what I mean? I know Cavani's going to come in there and do a job during the season as well, but there's no way Ronaldo's have to come back with the way he is and how fit he is to turn around and sit on that bench. You know what I mean? And Ollie knows that, and I think Ronaldo coming back cranks the pressure up on everybody, including Ollie, because we need to win something this year. I don't know, the Premier League could be out of our reach just because of our midfield options, but you're looking at the cups, League Cup, FA Cup, maybe even the Champions League, you know what I mean, with the likes of Iran in there as well. It's a cup competition. We might have some, and I'm not saying we will win it, you know what I mean, but you have to be looking at these kind of things considering what Chelsea did last year. But just listen to this, Ray. Look, on another note, there's talk about Richard Arnold replacing Ed Woodward as chief executive. Right now, I don't want to spend too much time on this, Ray, you know what I mean, because it's but just there's a chap at the putting up a post on Facebook about Richard Arnold's LinkedIn, and he has here, I'm honored to be, the group managing director of the biggest and best football club in the world, 1.1 billion fans engaged. The world giving us the largest TV audience annual of any program on the planet, all that kind of stuff. The chap that put it up, Ray, he's come out and he said that from what he's getting from it is there's nothing in his bio that's about football. It's all digital connections to see how much fans they can milk. And he says there's no coincidence the fact that this has been announced just after the Ronaldo deal. And he says the Glazers are up to that old bit again where, you know what I mean, they're trying to get one over on the fans. Like, as I said, we won't go too much into it, but do you think there would be any truth in that or what?
Don't know, Glenn. It's another another appointment that's sort of in the Glazers' pocket, really. You know what I mean? It's just replacing man for man there. There's no really change there. What I'm hoping is that Ollie and John Morta just continue to do what they're doing and fight for what they're doing. There's something. Khabib came out and said that the Ronaldo deal, and they're close. Khabib and the Nurmagomedov, the fighter, obviously. He came out and said that the deal was on the cards a month ago.
Yeah, I should have read that. Yeah.
So that makes it that baffles me, because I consider that true. I don't know why he'd lie something about that, but I just think there was a push from Ollie, hopefully, and John Morta to get him. And then I seen another social media post about Glazers not actually seeing the benefits of bringing Ronaldo back. So there could have been, this whole time, there could have been a battle between Ollie and John Morta, I'm hoping, to try and get Ronaldo back. And then you have the Glazers and Cole just trying to deny that. So what I'm getting at is, I hope that continues. I hope that we continue to battle against them and try and, give them the knowledge that what needs to happen on the pitch and behind the scenes, close to the pitch. Let Ollie and John Morta and Darren Fletcher, because these are the people we have now. So we have to put our trust in them. Let them deal with the football aspect of things, and John Arnold can pull as many sponsors in and PR stunts as he can. You know what I mean? Let them deal with that. Let the club milk everyone for their money. You know what I mean? I just want to see the progress on the pitch that we're seeing. These decent transfers that make sense. We were talking about Di Maria at the start. That was around the time when we were bringing in players that, like Arsenal are now, players that
we were trying to bring in. Yeah, that's what we were trying to do.
Yeah, and just players that we could get our hands, the best players that we could get our hands at that time that would accept Europa League. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And look at us now. We're comfortable now. There's players there that other players are going to want to play with. We're in such a good position now. It won't take so much negotiation time with players if we're going in for them. They'll be looking, Varane's there, Pogba, Bruno, Ronaldo's there. Who wouldn't want to play with Ronaldo now? So any player if we go in for a player in January, boom, I reckon it's done. If we go in for a player next summer, they won't be second guessing themselves. They'll be just like, right, if my contract's grand, the players are there, this is a great opportunity. It's United, I'm gone. You know what I mean? It won't be this negotiating over 5-10 million with agents and all. It'll be just, are you going or not? You know what I mean? So we're in a great position to just get this sort of world-class bracket player into the team now regularly. Hopefully now, like I was saying, I knew this moment will come, and this moment where we will get a great team together. So now it just points back, unfortunately, to Ollie and his management team. Can we keep this team, going and keep them happy and not have players look at some of the decisions you make and be like, what is going on here? Do they know what they're doing, or am I at the wrong club here? We've seen that they're bringing in great coaches, defensive coaches, set-piece coaches, which is great. Keep that going. Let's bring in some more, like Alex Ferguson did when the game was changing at the time with Carlos Queiroz. The game was taking that sort of Latino vibe, you know what I mean? Spanish, Portuguese were starting to dominate. And what does Alex Ferguson get to do? Counter that with some of their own sort of playing style, try and enforce that into the team. And they're the moves that improved the team and got us many trophies. So that's what we're looking at next.
Yeah, well, look, just definitely, Ray. Look, we have to start winning trophies. Everyone knows that you can't be going 5 years at United without winning that. And again, with the likes of Ronaldo coming in, with Varane coming in, Sancho and all that, the pressure ranks up on the team, but it goes up on Ollie as well. But just with the Ed Woodward and Mitchell Arnold thing, it's just since John Morto and Darren Fletcher were announced in their positions, and since Woodward was, came after the Super League stuff and was said, look, he's going to step down. if Richard Arnold's been paying attention, he realised that the best thing he can do is just walk in the background anonymously, like, you know what I mean? As you said, get all the commercial deals done, leave the football side of things to the football people. And look, I just don't think it's a coincidence that things have started to walk well off the pitch. We don't look like we're in, you know, that much dire straits, do you know what I mean, as we did, say, I'd say 2 years ago, you know what I mean? But again, we'll just have to wait and see what way that works out. But we
It's
definitely
the time, it's the time where we were saying, put a good team around Pogba and we'll see magic. You know, they're going to be doing everything to keep Pogba at the club. And this is the time, man. They know he's a money-making machine. He's big brand. They whack a deal on the table for him and see what we can do. See if we can actually win something with. It'll be some story.
Well, look, they're saying, you know, people are saying that what came out in the Athletic that, you know, with Ronaldo coming in, the club are looking and saying that I hope it, you know, sparks Pogba want to stay. My only worry or issue would be, Ray, is that if you've Mbappe going to Real Madrid for nothing, and you're at the end of your contract, you play with Mbappe, you know how good he is, and as you said, you know he's going to be making them runs for you all the time, so to put them balls in, do you stick or twist? I don't expect to see Pogba at the club next year, I really don't, but as I said, I hope he continues to just put his head down, put the team first for the whole, what's left of his contract, the whole playing 9 months that he has, and then good luck to him if he does decide to leave. But right, look, I'm not going to get into a whole Pogba situation because look, look, so far this season, what you said. No, right, listen, what you said so far this season, you've been right in what you said.
No, I'm just saying, like on your point there, this is what I was saying. I just wanted to see what it'd be like if can we actually win some when we have a great team around them. But one of my worries would be that if we do give him the wages that he you know, that after, which is, in my opinion, is probably 500 grand, they're not going to turn that down because they're not going to get that anywhere else. So that's what they want. They want 500 grand or something or close to it. Now imagine what that means for our wage bill. We're back to where we were when we couldn't get Sancho off. You know, you're going to have all these players coming up to Ollie. Sanchez, sorry. You're gonna be back to that point where you know, you can't get these players off the wage bill. Other players are gonna be coming up to them and saying, "Look, he's getting that, and I'm getting this. What's going on?" Do you know what I mean? I want to be right on top of it. If you're paying Pogba 500 grand or 450 grand, what are you gonna give to Bruno in his next contract? Do you know what I mean?
That's a bad precedent to those. That's the thing. I don't want players coming in for the money. Because again, the Manchester Evening News posted today the quote from Sanchez. It's a couple of years old now, that after his first training session, he went to his agent and asked, "Would you go back to Arsenal?" I think that's such a fucking prick artist thing to do and come out and say, because there's no way to turn around. He said, "Listen, I'm getting 450 grand a week. Do you think you can go back to Arsenal?" I would cry to get out of. So it does set a bad precedent. But it's at the coming out in the last couple of hours that Mo Salah is at the telling Liverpool that he wants 500 grand a week to sign a new deal. So
yeah.
I mean,
what, do you know what's on his contract?
I think there's 2 years left. I think
Something like
2
that.
years, 18 months, 2 years.
So the way it's working, like they'll run down their contract, Len, and then the club that's going in for them would be able to offer them them wages because they're getting them on a free. So a year of 500 grand, I don't know what that adds up to, but it's a lot.
Me to do much, right? Don't start asking me to do much. I just can't do it.
But, you know, teams, they go for that, especially the likes of Real Madrid. Like, how much would someone like Mo Salah be with 3 or 4 years on his contract? You're looking at 100 and something. So you can pay them their wage bill over whatever it is, 500 over the year, because it's right. It's a good bit under their actual initial fee. So it works out for clubs like that, man. I'm seeing this sort of trend, and you're seeing it yourself. A lot of the players are, in a way, I think they feel like they're gaining power back by running down their contract, you know, with the way things are going, and clubs becoming these massive institutions and swallowing players up and all. Yeah.
I think it sets a bad precedent, because if a club like Liverpool decide to give Mo Salah them type of wages, then everyone's going to try and get them. I don't think anyone is worth 500 grand a week. But I also think, I don't want to get too into the Liverpool's business, but I think it's a very clever way for Mo Salah to try and get out of Liverpool. I think he's had enough, because there's that going on. I just think that he thinks now, I'm at the having success, Champions League winner, Premier League winner, I'm going to go down in history as a great for them, you know what I mean? Just because of his goal scoring record and what he's won, first Premier League in 30 years. He's looking to get out of there, Ray. And Liverpool are not going to want to pay that 500 grand because it does, as you said, in their case and their case, it gets players then saying, well, what am I worth? We started seeing that with Jordan Henderson in terms of the length of his contract this year for them, you know what I mean? So it puts them in all sorts of dire straits, the fact that it's come out in the media. So I don't expect to see him there with Liverpool too much longer. I don't think this might be his last
It's a mad situation that because they're not happy of the amount of investment that's been put out there by their owners as well, from what I heard. And they played a little little move with the old Henderson final
deadline day, man. Yeah.
And big signing and all. It's mad, you know. They're just trying to keep things ticking over. There must be something in there as well. But well, what did you think about that Van Dijk thing? You had to have seen that, did you?
Your man running on for a selfie or something, was it?
Yeah. I wanted to ask you that. What did you think of that?
I think he was right, yeah. I think he's
you
right.
think
You can't
so?
have to. Yeah, no, Ray. Look, you've seen players over the years come on to Ronaldo. What? Huh?
What if that player had? What if that kid had something, you know, up his sleeve, man? You let him get close to you. And
shouldn't have got on the pitch in the first place. It's you know, I mean, what's the security measures like? But I think he was right. Look, you can't be in the middle of an interview.
Ronaldo and he's walking them off the pitch and all of this.
Yeah, I think. I don't want to be negative towards Ronaldo, but again, that does set an example sort of for other players and for other fans maybe to think that it's all right, because that's happened to Ronaldo a couple of times. That has where players have come on, but they've been in hysterics when they come on. They're nearly crying, they're shaking and all. Do you know what I mean? I don't think they're willing to do that. They just can't believe that that's easily God to them. You know what I mean?
Man had his hood up and all, I think.
It didn't. No, it's not a good look. I think he was right. Yeah, fuck that shit. You know what I mean? I don't want to be saying that. Wanted to hear what he said, but he was Van Dijk was sort of licking up to the Haaland. He was like, God, you broke my finger, man, and all, when he went through on goal and everything. Like, you know what I mean? Apparently he broke his baby finger or whatever. But look, listen.
Yeah, let's get
that off. We'll see what way that works out for us in terms of Pogba. But hopefully his form continues. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's the main. That's the main thing. Whatever he does at the end of the season, he is talking about stuff that you want to hear, which is just like, we want to win the league. And I've heard it so many times. I've rarely heard it from any players like that, where they're coming out and just saying that we want to win the league. That's what it takes to win the league. And obviously they feel like they have the team, and we have the team to go, you know, till the end anyway, at least. So let's see what happens, bro.
Right, Ray, I'm just going to drop this name on you, yeah? We leave that there. I'm just going to drop this name on you. Stephen Kenny,
yeah. Look, yeah, you know. But listen, man, I think you're in a position now where you're after giving him so long that
11 games without a win.
What you're gonna do now? You see some sort of progress against Portugal, right? Are you gonna mistake that for Portugal underestimating Ireland? You know, and Ireland playing the game of their lives and still not getting something out of it. You know, people are riding high now that they performed well and sitting in front of Portugal. Do you know what I mean? That's probably one of the easiest jobs to do, but it's a test of heart and attitude. And we all know that the Irish team always had heart and attitude. They just don't have the quality. And you've said this a couple of times in the chat, and it's true. The quality is not there, man. You're looking at some of these players, championship level at most, you know what I mean? Jeff Hendricks, decent lad, a lot, most experienced probably in that squad with your man Hurricane, you know, and yeah, you know, it's not there. What are you going to do? You're going to give Stephen Kenny another 5 games?
Well, the game against Portugal, Ray, right? The players got themselves up for that, obviously. And Stephen Kenny came out before that and he was like, look, we're not going to just sit back because that's just and avoid pressure on because it's dangerous. We're going to look to create chances ourselves. And in fairness, Ireland did that. They looked to counter at the right times. They created, you know, 1 or 2 decent chances, I'd say, and the rest were half chances. I think we were probably, I don't want to say I hate saying it about referees, I do, but I feel like the referee was in order Ronaldo and he was going to do everything he could to help Ronaldo get to where Ronaldo needed to get there. I think the penalty situation was a joke. The fact that it took him that long to stand at the monitor and give the penalty shows you that, you know, it wasn't really clear and obvious at all. Like, do you know what I mean? So that shouldn't have been given. It was. But it comes to the fact that we don't have that Robbie Keane type player up front, that clinical striker. We lack that boy. And it was proven. I think Conley had more chances than anyone else against Portugal. He didn't do it. It was the time the ball came in. I think it was Paulinho came in and hit him from behind. People were saying it was a penalty. I don't know, to be honest with you. It was clumsy, but I don't even think he would have scored that without it. He just couldn't wrap his foot around the ball. There's just a serious lack of quality in the attacking positions. Yeah. And I was at the game yesterday, Ray was, and
look, what was the atmosphere like?
The atmosphere for me, I thought the atmosphere was decent. I did, but like I was at the game yesterday, and I was at games before the likes of Steve Staunton and Trapattoni, and when they were coming under pressure. I remember being in Croke Park for Steve Staunton's game, and I think it was Estonia. I'm not too sure now. I think it was Estonia, but I could be wrong. And the crowd was shouting at the end of the game, you know, we want Staunton out and all that sort of stuff. Yesterday, that didn't happen. I don't know whether to put that down to the fact that, you know, it's the first time that crowds were allowed back into the Aviva. But for me, you can't be getting or, you know, scraping a draw against Azerbaijan. And in the second half, in the first half, the game started out. We looked a little bit lively for, say, the first 10 minutes. Then we dropped off. Azerbaijan had 5 at the back. But even in saying that, I was looking at Ireland strikers, your man Adam Ede and Troy Parrott, even your man Conley. And we just didn't want to pick out their runs. Troy Parrott made a couple of decent runs. We couldn't find them at all. Not that we couldn't find them, we just didn't want them. We didn't even try and find them at times. You know what I mean? I think there's players in the squad like James McLean that's past the sell-by date. He probably needs to be dropped. He doesn't want to seem to drive into space with the ball. He always seems to stop with the ball and look for a pass, and it always seems to be the easiest pass, and that could be 5-10 yards away from him. But the second half, we went in on it, Ray. We did. We went all out for it. The crowd were up for it. But again, like Azerbaijan, you go from playing the 8th best team in the world in the FIFA rankings in Portugal and, you know, nearly getting a result. But as you said, that's not enough to play a team that's 112th. I mean, they were beaten by Luxembourg, Ray, and they were beaten by Montenegro in the last year. Like this team are a bunch of nobodies. Like, you know, fans are saying, you're listening to fans, and I think it's very split. Some fans are saying, like, you know, I didn't hear this at the stadium. Now I'm just going online. People want Kenny out, and people are saying, how would you get in to replace him? I think we're a little bit of a victim of the way the FAI has been run. It's been run into the ground. I don't think there is anyone else out there that can come in just because of the fact, you know, who's going to want to work with them players that's probably better than Kenny at the moment. And if we were to bring someone else in, it's obviously going to be someone that's going to be expected to be paid more than what Kenny's on in the first place. And then, you know, you have all these Oilers fans out there for years saying, oh, we should be playing more expansive football and all. Well, we are, or we're trying to. But look at yesterday's game, Ray. We went route 1 with the last 15 minutes to go. The game against Portugal, the goal came from a set piece yesterday. The goal comes from a cross coming into the box. So, in all, things haven't really changed. We can look good on the ball, but in all fairness, it's not clicking. 11 games now.
That's a long run. That's a long
run, mate. It's a very long run. 7 defeats in that time and 4 draws. You look at the group we're in: Portugal, Serbia, us, Luxembourg, Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan have 3 points. I'm sure Luxembourg are off the mark. Yeah, they have 3 points because they beat us. Luxembourg have 6 points, actually. Sorry. We have none. So it shows you how far we've fallen. So I'm not going to turn around and say Kenny out. But, I mean...
There's hope there because the 3rd position qualifies as well in a playoff or whatever it is there?
I don't think right now. That's the Euros World Cup.
Is it?
I'm sure of that now, yeah. Well, I'm fairly sure. But it's not the point, Ray. Yesterday was a must-win game. It was the first time crowds are back. It was built as the crowd, the fans are back in. Let's give them something. And we didn't. I mean, you look at Stephen Kenny and when Shane Duffy scored, and I looked at him on the line because I was right above him, like, and he celebrated that like it was we were at the qualifying of the World Cup or we were at to getting out of a group in the World Cup. And a lot of people were slating that. We just looked at that and says, that's a man that's under serious pressure. You know what I mean? With a team that's nowhere near the best teams that we've probably had when you look at the likes of the team under Jack Charlton and the team under Mick McCarthy, like, you know what I mean? But it's, for me, it's going to end badly. I mean, you're looking at Serbia there last night, that they won 4-1. You know what they're like, right? They're going to be well organised, well drilled, and big physical specimens and all. There's a chance that we could be destroyed on Tuesday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? By the way, the FAI are selling tickets for €100 for that game. That's the only tickets that's left. And you can only buy them in sets of 2. So, I mean, I think that's a bit of a disaster, to be honest.
What sort of view you get for €100?
You'd be started around the middle here, like.
That's not bad.
But you know what, Ray? In the Avive, the stadium itself, you can see everything, the whole pitch. Players don't know. You can see everything that's going on, no matter where you're in it. But look, it's not looking great for Stephen Kenny. I suppose we'll have to just wait and see what way it works out.
Yeah.
It's definitely he's definitely had the worst run of luck, really, I think, of all.
Look, there's a lot of stake. Look, if you're trying to, if it looks like he's nearly there and trying to change the style of play and all, that's big, man, because Ireland was never a team that had a decent style of play. It was always that sort of, Robbie Keane, route one, or hit Niall Quinn and knock it down to Robbie. You know what I mean? It's a typical sort of stuff. But if he's trying to work towards something more modern and it looks like you're getting closer to that, I think you can, stick with him. Stick with him, because that can, in return, bring you some massive rewards in the long run. But if it continues on like it is now, you have to be thinking of a change. Because you cannot, like Azerbaijan said it there, you cannot be drawing, teams like that.
Ray, it comes down to the fact that, like, if you look at him in his interviews, post-match press conference, all that, he just, I mean, he loses me straight away. He gets very lost in the moment. He's asked a question, and
I felt from him when I was watching an interview where he was kind of like, I know what I'm doing. I know I've did it. I've won it. It's this sort of stuff, like, I can't believe he is second guessing me or something like that. Or he was sort of, I felt maybe he was sort of desperate to show people, which can be good, man, but cannot lose yourself that, you need to keep, I suppose.
I think that was the game. I think that was the Luxembourg game.
Was it?
I think that's when he came out and he started trying to fight his corner a little bit. You know what I
mean? Yeah, it was a sign of desperation, and that sort of, you could look at that and see, he's losing it a little bit, or you can, you can say, like, he's putting up his fists here or something. It depends what sort of person you are and what way you want to look at that. But for me, it was a little bit like, don't lose your class now. If there's any class about you, keep your class no matter what. Like, don't be starting saying, losing your professionalism. Do you know what I mean, bro? It looks bad when you're losing, but if you lose your professionalism as well, it's game over.
I just don't think, Ray, it's hard to go from...
that sort of Jose thing where he's talking about heritage and his hair's all out here and all, and heritage, and he had this player, and I had this 20 million.
Yeah, but even when you look at Jose doing something like that, you still get a little bit of, there's still an entertainment value about it. Like,
because you remember this fella's won it all. He is talking sense, but in the long run, this is gonna bite him, in the arse.
But look,
or in the butt, I should say, in the butt.
Yeah, but you're going from League of Ireland, Ray, to managing the top team. I know he was at the 21s and all. Obviously, the media, when you're getting asked questions after the League of Ireland and all, is nowhere near what you'd be getting asked when you're at international level and all. You know what I mean? And I think when the media is looking at that and it's being beamed around the world when you're playing in these World Cup qualifiers and European qualifiers and all that, other players and managers pick up on that. You know what I mean? Look, Azerbaijan, Ray, their manager is in threat of losing his job.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He's looking to be sacked, and like they go and get a draw. Like, You know what I mean? And it didn't sit well. But what I will say is that the fans did stick with the team. And as I said, I didn't get the feeling that people are like Kenny out at the moment. But 11 games without a win, you know, whatever happens against Serbia, I mean, I think he might get to the end of the qualifiers. Like, but you know, the FAI were asked whether, you know, he'd be getting a renewal of his contract, and they came out and he says, well, if we see that the progress is there, so obviously they're looking for progress as in performances rather than results. But me personally, and it's probably an unpopular opinion, I think that Ireland should always just be judged on results. We shouldn't be worried about how we play. You know, our best time in tournaments have been when we've played Route 1 football. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're just not that nation. We're 20 to 30 years behind every other football nation. You just look at the FA, you know what I mean? We're 20 to 30 years behind them in how we produce players. And as you said, we don't have the players that we did in the likes of Duff, Dunn, Shea Given and all coming through anymore, man. And that's down to grassroots. Do you know that way? Like, so maybe they're looking and saying we can't be putting all this money into managers just to focus on the first team. But at the same time, we're a million miles away from where we think we should be. And which for the nation that we are, we shouldn't really have that much high expectation today. Maybe a couple of years ago, yeah. But today, right now, we shouldn't.
Well, that's just something. Would you want to just get past the group stages with route long football, or would you want to have the ability within 10, 15, maybe even 20 years to actually outplay some teams off and go further on in a competition like that? Because I think that could be a possibility with the right, you know, style of play, man. I think a route long football will probably only get you out of the groups, and it's great for the nation, and you might get a quarter final, semi final in a rare case, but you'll be found out. But to be able to have the ability to actually instill a new style of play throughout the whole of Ireland, throughout the whole of the FAI, and have the Irish team as the pinnacle. You know, we're playing good football. This is what we want to do. We want to switch it up. I heard something about some of the players, the youth players now not being allowed to go to England until a certain age, which is a great thing. And a lot of these you know, great schoolboy teams linking up with some of the Irish teams is another great it's another great move. And that's what it's gonna take. Now somewhere out there under 15s, under 16s, that there's the next stars, man. That there. It's about trying to keep them happy and keeping them in the Irish division as long as possible, improving the Irish division. You know, you can be going out to full stadiums, enjoying your Friday football or whatever it is. You go out to a few of them. Imagine what it would be like to go out and see some of these great players being scouted by, you know, clubs, and not actually just going over there at the age of 15 and getting homesick 2 years after, you know, being men when you're going over there, having actually an education in place, so when you come back, you're set. You know, these little things. I know you don't have many things good to say about the FAI, and you know a lot more than me there, but it looks like they're trying something different. They're trying to do a few things differently that might impact Ireland in the long run, and they're banking on Kenny to do the job. And if you look at it, right, this Kenny fella has been around Irish football, and he's won a lot, and you know he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT of the Irish football, really. So if you put him in place there now, you know that's the deal. That's the long-term plan. But is he going to get enough time, and can he keep it together? You know, I wish that he can keep it together, because, like you said, there's no one really to come in now that's not going to want to revamp the whole team and start bringing back some of these players in from the English league that are finished. You know what I mean? And start giving these players game time because it suits their system. Some of these players now, the younger players in that team, Troy Parry, your man Ida, you know, they're going to be top players if they're careful.
Ida looks the real deal, right? Ida looks
he looks the real deal, properly built. You know what I mean? He's been around some decent clubs, Norwich and that, and you know, learning some good football there. And you know, hopefully these players, man, with the time, like, forget about this one. This one's done. This qualification's done, and maybe the next one. You know, you have these.
You're right. I think this is what I was thinking today. Like I was thinking, maybe like obviously, you know, if we got to European, if Stephen Kenny got to European qualifiers, you know, 3 teams qualified in that, don't they? Well, best
Yeah,
loser or something, you know what I mean? Something like that.
that's
So,
what I think would have happened here, but it would have been a good chance because you named it there, the group. You know, we
well, I mean,
obviously
if we won all
Portugal.
our games, from now to the end of it, like we could have a chance, but it's just it comes down to the fact, Ray, that we don't have any natural goal scorers in the team. Like either Troy Parrott, that young Conley and all, they're young, but they're not going to get us, you know, 6, 7, 8
Yeah,
goals in the qualifying campaign. Like, you know what I mean? And this, you know what I mean, as well as goals from midfield. Like I just felt like Conley or Josh Connell, the midfielder there yesterday playing that number 6 role, picking the ball up, you know, early on in the game, he looked like he was, you know, spreading the ball around and all, but then it looked like as the game went on, he was afraid to receive the ball and turn on it. Like, you know what I mean? Like everything from Ireland yesterday was just too safe. And now to add it, I don't want to say insult the injury, but I'll say it, insult the injury. You've James Coleman now at the pulling out of the squad because he's with an injury, and you've Soros Christie coming in at right back, like, you know,
yeah,
championship material.
yeah.
That's where we are.
That's it, man. It takes time, and you know, if they stick with him, it could be something special, and he could get it right. But if they do decide to switch it up again, who are they going to switch up? Like if they're trying to carry out this plan that we were just talking about, who would I can do it than Stephen Kenny? You know, if he can't do it, there's no one that can do it.
Yeah, but then you're back to square one. Then you're back to
Yeah, and then you're just thinking like,
Mhm.
right, we need to recalculate this. Scrap the youth thing we put in place. Scrap that. Let's look at what Holland do. Let's look at what, you know what I mean? Just stick with what you're doing now. Give this man some time. It could be something great in a few years, man. It could be something where it's stable, and you're getting all these good players coming through. The Irish football improves, which is we've been longing for that for so much. Seeing quality in full stadiums and being able to go and enjoy some football, you know, and they're getting closer to battling for these Europa League titles or positions and
Qualifying positions. Yeah, yeah.
qualifiers
Yes,
and getting through, and you know you're hearing a lot more of it. Oh, they're not doing this, blah blah, this, Rovers, this. It's you know that'll take some time, but hopefully it becomes to a level where it's feared and respected. You know.
Well, look at Ray. On that note, we leave it there, bro. Yeah. Hopefully, Ireland can get a result against Serbia and a performance. You know what I mean? Hopefully, they can get off the mark. We're back next week with Ronaldo's debut. Can't wait for that one. Absolutely buzzing for it. We're available on YouTube, so go and give us a subscribe there. And we're also available on Spotify, Podbeam, and Google Podcasts. And give us a like on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So, Ray, I'll talk to you next week, man. Yeah.
Right, bro. See you
Bye,
soon,
bye,
bro.